You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. My name's Joyce DeRiga, and I'm the editor of the Chicago Catholic, the newspaper for the Archdiocese. And this is where we go beyond the headlines to talk to the people who are making the news that we're covering each week in the newspaper. And today we have a special guest. We have Vince Gerasoli. He's the director of this ministry here for radio and television that helps us do all this kind of stuff. And they've got some exciting news to share. They recently installed a new studio, and it's a big deal. I mean, I've been here 15 years, and that's how long you had that, or I'm sure beyond that. But welcome, Vince, and tell us about how that happened and what it looks like and all that kind of. We've got some pictures we'll show you. Oh, if you're watching,
take a look at it right there.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the pictures of the studio.
Well,
now.
First I'll say thanks for having me on, and I'll reiterate how excited we are to get that new space up and running. And it wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for some donors who believed in the power of communication as something that can help a ministry along here at the Archdiocese of Chicago. And they helped us actually come up with the idea of reconstructing, creating a brand new set, and we've been excited to get it to debut. We've had it installed, and then we have to get some other brand new cameras and wiring in, so it'll probably come completely online sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks. But in the meantime, we've been using it for different types of programming that we've been recording, and it's great. It's got a backdrop. Maybe if we can call the picture up again, I can walk some of the viewers through it. But it's got a backdrop that represents a number of our architecturally significant churches, and we did some Photoshop, and we put them on a skyline of Chicago. So it's sort of our version of a news set, and we have an anchor desk there. Then we also have an interview set as well for some of our programs. A lot of people don't realize the large number of programs that we produce here at the Archdiocese of Chicago. We have 2 broadcast magazines, and then we have the daily video streams that we produce with folks such as yourself. And in addition to that, we also produce masses in Spanish, Polish, and English that are broadcast and shared over our social media platforms. So we have an awful lot of programming that goes on. And the new set, we have to thank the family that made it possible. It's the Shin family from Lake Forest, Dr. Ty and Mrs. Yu Shin. And they wanted to make a donation in honor of Francis Cardinal George. They held him in high esteem, and they wanted to originally they had an idea of maybe they could pay for a statue and donate a statue. And then they spoke with Cardinal Cupich, and Cardinal Cupich said, Francis Cardinal George really believed in the power of broadcasting and the power of communication. And so that's how the new studio space was born. So we worked with a firm called Chicago Scenic Design, which has designed some pretty big sets here in the Chicago area for ABC, and they also designed sets for ESPN and for various other broadcast platforms. So we were able to get a design from those folks, fairly professional, and put it all together. And then our staff worked on creating a lot of the background that you see on the set. Brian from our department is pretty good at Photoshop, so he was able to take all those different churches and put them on a skyline shot of Chicago. And it really it stands to be a very versatile set. We're excited about getting started to using it.
It's gorgeous. So you've got St. Alphonsus, am I saying right? St. Alphonsus, you said St. Ida?
St. Ida is there, St. Alphonsus is there, Holy Name Cathedral is there. I think we have St. Clement's is there. I'm trying to remember all the different places, but what we did was we did sort of an archive search, and we looked for the churches that were architecturally significant in one way or another, and then we made the list, and then we went and made sure we had pictures of them, and then it was sort of like a puzzle piece, finding out which churches looked good on that particular background. There is no vantage point in Chicago where you'll see that
Right,
actual
yeah.
site where there's 8 churches right next to each other, large cathedrals. But it really looks nice on the different camera angles.
It's gorgeous. How do you go about figuring out how to make a set? Do you work with designers? Is that how that works? Or?
We worked with designers, but we sort of knew what we needed. We wanted an area that sort of looked like a news set or an anchor set, where if somebody was going to be hosting a particular program and maybe they just needed a place to sit and put their papers in front of them. So we have the large anchor desk. And then the anchor desk also provides the possibility of having 3 or 4 other people sitting there and having a discussion. Or a podcast that we stream as well. So we wanted that sort of area. Then we wanted a more intimate area where we could have maybe just a one-on-one conversation for some of our programs that would have just a little bit of a different look. And we have a monitor that we can put in the background. So we can put artwork and design work in the monitor that sort of highlights the subject matter that we're talking about. But also the person who's hosting the show can turn to the monitor and we can have someone they're interviewing in the monitor if they're interviewing someone via satellite or via Zoom or Teams. So that's an exciting part of the set that we can use for various different efforts there. Now, we can also move the chairs and the table out and make it a music performance area as well, and so have people in from our various music ministries. So we're excited about that. And then also we can just sort of dim the lights and just record a person if someone has to. Sometimes we have the need to record a message that might be 2 or 5 minutes long, and the set can serve as a backdrop for that as well.
This is probably inside baseball, but I'm curious. Why do you have to why do you have to get new lights and new cameras? Is it because of something to do with the design or
It's a little bit. So every set needs to be lit in a particular way. So this is vastly different from the set we had there before. And technology has improved the lighting that you can use on the set. Okay. So what we can do now is we've purchased new lights that will make the set look as vibrant as possible in a way that we couldn't do with the old lights. The old lights just had it is kind of inside baseball, but there's a certain color with some kind of lights, and then they make the pieces of the set look a certain way on camera. And so that's why we've got some new lights coming in that show the set off to its best advantage.
Awesome. So during the pandemic, you guys everybody had to pivot.
Yes.
But, when the masses got shut down, your team put together the masses at Holy Name Cathedral with Cardinal Supich. Can you talk a little about that?
Sure. And this is an effort that, I came on board during the pandemic. So this is
right.
stuff that preceded me by about 5 or 6 months. But there was a need for people to be able to worship and attend Mass on Sundays, and doors were closed. So how could people attend Mass? Well, we could put together a broadcast Mass. So the team here at the Archdiocese of Chicago worked really hard, and they started setting up cameras over at Holy Name Cathedral, and it was organized that there would be an English language Mass, a Spanish language Mass. I think it's about 42% of the Archdiocese of Chicago, of the faithful, are Spanish speakers, and then we have a significant Polish population as well. So we started recording and broadcasting those Masses with various broadcast partners. The English Mass is on ABC7, the Spanish Mass has been on Univision, and then Polvision has been the home for the Polish language Masses. So that started by pulling cables and pulling cameras, and then after a few months there was an investment made in making sure that we had dedicated cameras over at Holy Name Cathedral, cameras that could do things like zoom and point and tilt. And so that's how that program or that effort began to develop. We weren't running brand new cables over every week. We were actually using dedicated space and dedicated cameras in Holy Name Cathedral for all 3 of these Masses. So it's really been a success story for the Archdiocese, because during the pandemic, our ratings on Sunday morning were through the roof. They were between a 3.5 and a 4 on Sunday mornings on ABC7, and that Mass is broadcast at 9:30. So in the Chicago television market, every ratings point is 35,000 households. So if you do the math, you can see that we were reaching well over 100,000 households, and then it's about 2 people per household watching on average, and then we had a significant number of people watching those Masses also online on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. So we were reaching easily over 325,000 people during the pandemic. Now that churches are open, those numbers have come down, but we still consistently rank number 1 on Sunday mornings for our English language Mass, beating Meet the Press and Face the Nation. So that shows that there's a true interest out there. And then our Spanish language Mass has actually now morphed into a larger program. It's on Univision. It only debuted just a few weeks ago, and it's on at 9 a.m. on Univision, and it's called L'Ora Cattolica. And it's the Catholic Mass for about 35 minutes, and then the remainder of the Mass, or the remainder of the program, is sort of a public affairs program talking about different things that are happening with the Spanish-speaking community here in the Archdiocese of Chicago. And then we also have guest musicians on, and it's just a delightful way to start a Sunday morning, and we're very proud of that effort. It's getting off to a good start.
Wow, that's a full-time thing. Right?
Yes.
Because it's a weekly 1 hour. So
yeah, and it's, a lot of folks are, organizing, we're sort of becoming more of a machine here in the department and churning out more content. But it really is something that we're very proud to get on the air. And as I said before, we have about 42% of the Archdiocese is Spanish speaking. We're looking at how the program opens each week. We welcome people to the Mass. We have the Mass for about 35 minutes. And as I said before, then we have some discussion and we have musical performances as well that are faith-based.
And then the neat thing, too, is through the pandemic, I can't remember now how much live streaming we did before the pandemic, but it's really opened up that door, too, right? Because when we have, we just lost Bishop Manns over the weekend, and then his funeral will be coming up. And then I was on a show this morning talking about, people will be able to watch it because I'm 100% sure it's going to be live streamed, right?
Sure.
And that's just opened up a whole thing at this time, it seems.
That's right. So we produce, or the Archdiocese has traditionally produced 24 hours a month, not 24 hours a day, but 24 hours a month of original programming that's related to our various ministries. And so during the pandemic, we had the opportunity to install the cameras that you see right here in the studio, and we started streaming that content as well. And that's really how you can reach people now on their phones and on their laptops, right. and that's just another way that we can reach people who are interested in the things that we're talking about on our various programs.
So we have about 2 minutes till we have to go to break, but I want to give a plug to the website. If you go to archchicago.org, up on the right-hand side, there's a YouTube button. You can click on there. You'll see all the stuff they're producing, and that's where the live streams happen. You can subscribe to it's Catholic Chicago.
Yes.
Right? Catholic Chicago on YouTube. We also post some stuff, and we post this podcast on our site. But again, go to archchicago.org and then click on the YouTube button on the top, and you'll get access to all this stuff. So, all right. And when we come back, let's talk about this ministry and how important it is to the church. I mean, I'm a big believer in evangelization through media and such. So I'd like to hear your views, and especially because you were in the secular world longer than I was, and coming to this as a ministry versus, a day-to-day job.
Sure, sounds like something to talk about.
All right. We'll be right back, everyone. Stay tuned.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship programs provide a free opportunity for young adults to spend time with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youth aged 9 through 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports every relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that can help young adults build confidence and enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7970 in Cook County, and 847-782-4224 in Lake County. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning. Because really, you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program has assisted thousands of single parents who are working to become more self-sufficient through education and employment opportunities. Our experienced case managers accompany participants for up to 5 years on their journey to identify, address, and break down barriers to improving their quality of life and achieving meaningful goals for themselves and for their families. Professional, compassionate assistance is offered in a safe and trusting environment as participants develop the skills needed to become financially stable and able to support themselves. Every achievement starts with a decision to try. To learn more about Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program, call 847-782-4233 or visit CatholicCharities.net.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. My name is Joyce Duriga. I'm the editor of the Chicago Catholic. Almost forgot the name of our newspaper. When we switched from New World to Chicago Catholic, it took me like 6 months not to call it the Chicago Catholic, or not to call it the New World. Anyway, before we get back to our guests and our discussion, I wanted to shout out to the newspaper. If you follow, check us out at chicagocatholic.com. You can subscribe for $30 a year. That supports our ministry. We come out about every 2 weeks, and you can also sign up for our free e-newsletter that comes out about 3 times a week, and follow us on social media. You can keep up to date on what's going on with Archbishop Supich, what's going on with the Vatican. Also, right now we're working on a tribute section to Bishop John Manns, our auxiliary bishop, who passed away this weekend and was a beloved member of the Archdiocese community. So, again, chicagocatholic.org, and we're going back with Vince Gerasoli, who is the director of our radio and TV ministry here at the Archdiocese. We're talking about this new set that they got that's beautiful. It's the first one they've had, at least since I've been here, and it's really stunning. So before the break, I mentioned about, I'm really passionate about evangelization through media and that kind of stuff. Can you talk about how you view that and what you see as the impact and the role that we can have through these things?
Well, so many people can't make it to Mass for different reasons. Health is a major reason. Some people can't get there because of their health. That doesn't mean they don't want to be at Mass. And some people, everybody's carrying around a telephone now that can connect them to different snippets of information, different ways to pray, different ways to explore their faith. And so what we try to do is fill that void for the people here in the Archdiocese of Chicago who want a way to connect with their local church or with the Archdiocese in general, or to just learn more about some of the good things that are happening related to faith. And so that's what we produce. For example, we might take people to an event that they couldn't be at in person. We'll interview people who are at that event, and then we'll turn those into small reports that we put on our YouTube channel. We'll also share those out as YouTube. I always get shorts and reels mixed up, but we produce shorts and we produce reels, and people can find those on their mobile devices as well. And it's important because not everybody can have physical access to the church, and people might want to have a daily access. They might want to have access in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, and this is a way to connect to their faith, and that's why we produce these different bits of information. Interestingly enough, there's an appetite for it as well. For example, our YouTube channel, and one of the folks on our staff was pointing this out to me, and I was amazed. Our YouTube channel before the pandemic, I think, and I'm not certain on this number, but I think its subscription number was something like 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers. We're now up to 28,000 subscribers. And that's that's
Right.
significant growth. In the past 3 months, our growth on our YouTube channel has been 1,000 new subscribers a month. And before that, it was 500 new subscribers a month. So the subscription rate is a way to gauge how many people are interested in this particular content. And some of the shorts and reels that we've been able to get out there have had tens of thousands of interactions. One of the most popular was the ordination of our priest just a few weeks ago, actually, like 8 weeks ago. And there were thousands of people connecting to see part of that. So being able to provide this type of information to people so that they can be more connected to their faith is sort of that's the mission of I guess the broadcast ministry, if you want to call it that.
And we're really blessed to have this, and it's a professional studio for the radio. It's also for the not every diocese can. It's not cheap.
No.
And not every diocese can set up something like this. So I think we're really blessed to be able to have this.
That's right. And you know what? I think more and more of our parishes and our schools are finding ways to use video and social media on their own. And there are any number of schools out there that have like their own TikTok accounts, and they have their
Right.
teachers and students producing things. And it's just a way of creating community and a sense of belonging and a sense that we're all here together and in this together. And I think that's the beauty of communicating this way.
I've enjoyed it. I mean, I've tuned into a bunch of different things that I wouldn't necessarily have done it on, because it's being live streamed and I don't have to get up to the so and so's place to and fight the traffic and and even it connects people. We did a story a couple of weeks ago about Old St. Pat's Parish over in the Loop that talks. They've been streaming their masses for a long time, but when the pandemic hit, they got a big following from even around the country. So they then they started doing like prayer groups and small faith sharing groups and stuff. And then they heard back and forth from these people, and they decided to invite them back to campus for a weekend and have like the extended family weekend. So
one leads to another. It's
Right.
sort of it's a way to connect and then build bridges and to build a wider community. So I think that's great. And technology has made the things that we can share easier to share complicated things. For example, I think it was about a year ago at Our Lady of the Angels, there was a statue of Mary
Yes.
that had been, for some reason, somewhere else at a different church, and it was going to be making a journey back to Our Lady of the Angels because of some refurbishing that had been done there. And so we were able, and I'm saying we, but it's really the folks on our staff here, Brian Brock and Michael May and Clint Cottrell. At the time, Brian and Mike, because Clint wasn't with us then, were able to figure out a way for us to broadcast the transfer of this statue back to Our Lady of the Angels. And it involved mounting this statue of the Blessed Mother on the front of a fire truck, driving it through the streets of Chicago, bringing it back to Our Lady of the Angels, where there was a ceremony there and a memorial. And it was, we were able to broadcast the whole thing. If you watched us on our YouTube channel or Facebook page, you watched this going on, and there were people able to give you updates at the departure point and also at the arrival point. And communicating this way used to be something that you only did at the network level. It was even hard for a local station to pull something like that off. But now it's easier, and a staff as small as ours can create these dynamic moments to share in these touchstone events, these keystone events that mean something to so many people.
I 100% agree.
Wait, there we see it right
There
now.
you go.
But this is how we were able to share that moment with people. And for the listeners, there was at Our Lady of the Angels School, there was just a horrendous fire. Do you remember the year, Joyce? It was the late 50s, wasn't it? Maybe early 60s?
I don't recall the exact date.
But it killed hundreds of students.
Yeah, and it set the precedent for fire codes in schools around the country.
Yeah, it was
3 nuns, 92 students.
Yeah, it was just awful how many people died there. Some lessons were learned, and this statue, I believe, at one point was a gift to the school, and then during renovations it was transferred somewhere else, and it never made its way back for several decades. So the people you're looking at there right now are some of the survivors of that fire, and seeing that statue returned meant so very much to all of them.
That was an awesome thing. So we have just a couple minutes left. You came from Chicago TV, what I call secular TV, and to kind of a role that's more ministry based. Has it been a change for you? What's been the impact?
You know, I have to say, the impact has been personal more than anything else. Just at the end of the day, feeling good about what you're communicating and how you might be helping someone in a situation who's feeling lonely or feeling isolated or just really needs somewhere to turn in a difficult moment. And we're able to produce, it's good at the end of the day to know that you're producing content that might help people in some way, and might give them, the courage to go on, the strength to go on, the inspiration to do good. And that's really what I have found is the big change in my work. But when it comes to, verifying locations and facts and writing stories, it's still the same work. It's just what's the driving force behind it. And that's what I have found, that there's been a difference. And I also have to, not that the people I worked with before I came here weren't wonderful, lovely people to work with, but the staff here is, to a person, just phenomenal people. And I just feel very blessed that I work with the people I work with. They give me another reason to be thankful every day.
Wonderful. Well, folks who are listening or watching on YouTube, I just want to plug the YouTube channel again. If you go to archchicago.org and tap on that little YouTube icon at the top, or search Catholic Chicago on YouTube, you'll find all the content that the folks down here in radio and television, I say down here because we're in
the basement
of Quigley Pastoral Center. We're also down the hall in the basement, and what used to be the swimming pool of the seminary. Yeah. But and again, go to ChicagoCatholic.com. You can sign up for a subscription for $30, which will come out about every 2 weeks. And then you go sign up for our free e-newsletter and follow us on social media and keep track of what Cardinal Supich is up to and the news and stuff going on around the Archdiocese. So again, thank you very much. Vince, thanks so much for coming on and showing us our new studio. And
oh, that's great. We can't wait to get the programming started, too. That's most exciting.
That'll be awesome. Okay. Well, that's it for us on Beyond the Headlines. And until I see you next time, have a gentle and joy-filled day. Bye-bye.